last time you needed to go to a doctor? Yeah, I'm talking to you. And you put it off. You're like, I don't know what doctor to go to. That's where ZocDoc comes in. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/Monet to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/Monet. ZocDoc.com/Monet. Hi, it's me, Monet, here again, and I want to remind you that I am coming around the U.S. doing some new stand-up dates all over the contiguous United States of America. I learned that in 5th grade, contiguous, and I won't forget it. So if you want to come see me do some new raw material, I'm going to be in Spokane, Washington on April 18th and 19th, Oklahoma City, April 25th and 26th, Sacramento, May 2nd and May 3rd, Raleigh, North Carolina, May 24th and 25th, and Rochester. You get it? Rochester on June 12th and 14th. So if you want to come see me do some brand new stand-up material, come see me on one of those dates. Go to MonetXChange.com to get your tickets. Mwah.
I remember when there was during a previous debate about gay marriage, that's when I came out to Hillary Clinton. I remember walking into her office and being, I just want you to know, we're working on these speeches. I just want you to know that I'm gay.
Really?
Right? Yeah.
And what was her reaction?
Oh, Jonathan, I knew months ago. Yeah.
Monét Talks. Everybody come sit down, let's have a chat. Monét Talks. Living life gossip, chop it up, this or that. Monét Talks. Get comfortable, cause you on the show. Monét Talks. We just wanna know where you been, who you been with. Monét Talks.
Well, Monet Talks, listeners, viewers, and such as, we are joined this week by the incomparable Jon Lovett. Hi, Jon.
Hi.
How you doing?
Hi, Monet. I'm so excited to be here.
Are you?
Yeah.
Jon, are you really excited? You're like, I guess I'll do this bitch's stupid fucking show.
Fake it till you make it. I'll get excited as we go. You don't know if I'm not excited. I'm a professional.
You had such an interesting career, but I love it. I also get the energy that you were always gay kid. Were you ever in the closet? I feel like you were always out. That's what I meant to say.
I feel like that's a testament to how much I've buried the part of myself that was a little closet kid.
I
mean, I came out when I was 17.
Oh, work. Okay.
So
that's pretty early.
That was early. It was early.
For me, girl, I was 3 years after that. I was a late bloomer.
But I feel like it was early when we did it.
True.
But it's kind of late now, which is cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think people knew before I did.
Yeah.
But it took me a while to get comfortable with myself, I think.
I mean, I think we all as little queer kids, it does take a little while to get comfortable. And you were and you're from, where are you from?
I'm from New York.
Born and raised?
I was born in the city, grew up on Long Island. Classic.
Oh,
Sorry.
Where in Long Island, though? Deer Park?
No, Syosset. Woodbury, Syosset.
I thought Woodbury was north, isn't that Woodbury Commons?
That's a different Woodbury.
Huh.
There's Woodbury on Long Island, small town. But Syosset's the one people have heard of.
Syosset, yeah.
It's what Freaks and Geeks was based on, because that's where Judd Apatow went, because we both went to the same school.
Got it.
Yeah.
And so did you ever go to Fire Island?
I went as a kid to Fire Island, but
so
not
gay?
No,
gay? Okay.
No, to the place where little boys boogie board. That's the part I went to.
They do some boogie boarding on Fire Island as well.
That's right. Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar.
Different.
No, it's so this is, I went to there was this big art thing this weekend, or a couple weekends ago in LA.
Oh, was it Freeze?
Freeze.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this artist, name is STVNDID, I don't know how you pronounce that, Svindid. And they take designer things and paint on it, and they dirty it up. So it's not dirt or powder.
It's fashion.
It's fashion.
You troglodyte, you uncultured swine. Obviously, this is not damaged Givenchy. This is art. This is a piece of art.
It's a piece of art.
This is from an art festival.
And he also had a jacket on. He like this blazer that he like chopped up and it was like thing. And I bought it off of his back. I was like, I will pay you for this blazer right now.
It's so cool.
I know. It was really cool. So I feel like I'll wear one day on the show, but I feel like I have this really nice piece of art that I bought off his
I think
guy's
it's
back.
nice.
Right?
Forget what he said. don't let that shake your confidence.
I won't. Girl, nothing can shake my confidence.
Yeah,
I'm
I
a
don't think so.
fucking drag queen, you know?
That's
What came first, Sean? The speechwriting or comedy?
So comedy came first. So
Were you a funny kid?
I think there was a funny kid in there, but I was so like closed off
Mm-hmm.
and so like I think probably depressed
Mm.
that I didn't really have much to say. I was so worried about what people thought. I was so worried about how I looked. I was so worried about how I sounded that I think there were times where I was funny, but I also think I was pretty mean. You know, like not like just like the way a bullied kid can be
Yes.
mean.
Yeah.
But once I got out of high school and I started coming out of my shell, I did feel this pull of comedy and like this feeling like I wanted to do stand up. And so after college, I moved to New York and I was paralegaling.
Oh my God,
I was working at I was doing, you know, those ads for asbestos law firms, like call us if you've been mesothelioma. Call us.
Mesothelioma. Okay,
So
what is mesothelioma? Do you
It's
know?
a very serious lung cancer, I
Oh.
believe, that you can get from having been exposed to asbestos. And so there are these big funds that you can access to get a payout. And
Word.
what a lot of these law firms do is they just, if you call them and they get they get the cut. So they're all trying to get their cut of this settlement of some kind, or
The amount
multiple
of
settlements.
mesothelioma ads I would see on the 2 train, I was like,
Constantly.
do I have this? I
Constantly.
wish I had mesothelioma. Give me a little settlement.
But so I worked at one of those firms.
Got it.
And
So you were a bad guy.
hey, listen, the world needs plaintiffs' lawyers. Somebody has to fight for the little guy against the corporations. But I was in a windowless room on Wall Street,
Okay.
and basically a filing cabinet, like a file rack of like forms would come through, and we would process them.
Mhm.
And if we got to the bottom of the pile before they could put new ones on the pile, we could like hang out and talk. And it was
Got
like
it.
me and a person trying to make it as a filmmaker and a woman trying to start her baking business,
Got it,
all
got
just
it, got
making
it, got it.
extra money working as like basically a temp paralegal.
Yeah.
But as I was doing that, I would do like open mics
Word.
in New York.
Like at the cellar and shit
Yes,
like that.
like all those places, every place. I would
Dope.
go find the calendar and just go to their open mics on like Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And I did that for a while and ended up volunteering for some political campaigns, and that led to a junior job in politics. So and actually the way I ended up getting a job, so I wrote some jokes for John Corzine, who was then a New Jersey senator.
Mhm.
And through the grapevine, the Hillary Clinton office had heard.
Wait, why did a senator need a joke writer?
They all want to be funny. They all want to have little
Do they
jokes here and
really?
there. All of them. So when they have like a big speech or like let's say they'll have like a graduation speech, they'll be doing a commencement. They'll say, "Oh, let's add a couple jokes."
Got
and
it,
so
got it, got
it through the grapevine had gotten to the Hillary Clinton Senate office that
Mhm.
I had some experience like doing stand up. So they asked me to help write jokes for Hillary Clinton,
Got
which
it.
I did. And so I wrote her a couple jokes for a roast of Barbara Walters.
Wait, there was a roast. Okay, how was it? It was not televised. I never heard of this.
It was not televised. It was like or it was on, maybe it was on C-SPAN at the time, but it was the Spina Bifida roast of Barbara Walters, a charity event.
Oh my
It
God.
was the Spina Bifida roast of Barbara Walters. So I wrote Hillary Clinton a bunch of jokes, and that was like my way in. I ultimately got hired to be her junior speechwriter.
Yes.
So it was like comedy kind of got me there, but like it wasn't a comedy job. It was just a writing job.
The writing job.
And so then I basically was like, I think I was hired when I was like 22, 23. I was totally in over my head. Like at the time, I felt like I was failing and it was my fault. Now I look back on it, I was like, of course I was doing it. What the hell was I doing?
22, 23.
I
That's
was
fucking young.
over my head. I was overwhelmed. But that's how I became a speechwriter. So I ended up becoming a junior speechwriter for Hillary Clinton. I did that for a couple years, went through one of her Senate races and her first presidential campaign, and then ultimately got hired to be a speechwriter for President Obama.
You're like, you were like, I'm jumping this sinking ship, and I'm going to Obama, baby.
Yeah, see that's called up.
Wait, no, we have to go back a little bit. Can you remember any of these jokes for the Barbara Walters roast? If anyone has the unedited footage of the Barbara, if you have a YouTube link, I need to watch this roast.
So
ultimately, it's one of those. It can't get too bad, right? They can't like go crazy on Barbara Walters. I mean,
well, I remember that I don't remember what they ended up using, and I think she ended up missing it. but like because there was a vote, so she ended up skipping the Spina Bifida roast.
Okay.
But we had written all the jokes. But I remember there was a joke in there about it was shortly after Hurricane Katrina.
Oh, girl. Oh, God.
So there were jokes about that. And then there was also a joke because her opponent in 2000 was a guy named Rick Lazio.
I don't
Remember that name?
I don't remember. That doesn't sound familiar.
Anyway, there was a joke in there about running into Rick Lazio, who is now working at a deli. That's what I remember from this.
Got it.
But when I got on the phone, like there was a conference call where a bunch of different people were going to throw in jokes, and I was like just honored and excited to be invited. It was like, oh my God, this is like I'm going to write jokes for Hillary Clinton. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And I get on this phone call, and it was all these like speechwriters that I had at least heard of, and then Al Franken got on the phone, and I was so starstruck because I loved Al Franken.
SNL's Al Franken, yeah.
Yeah. And so like I like remember I pitched that joke about Rick Lazio working at a deli, and Al Franken laughed, and I was like, all right.
I got it. Okay, this is something I have for you because, again, you're such a brilliant mind. You've been in politics for so long. What do you think about this idea of Dems being always playing these purity tests, right? Well, when the whole scandal happened with Al Franken and his hand hovering over the lady's boobs on the thing, which again was wrong. Were you on team get him out of the Senate because this is crazy, or like your team, guys, we have bigger fish to fry?
So I remember at that time it was a bit complicated because this happened right as we were in a fight to win a Senate seat in Alabama.
Yeah, I remember this. This was with that guy
Roy Moore,
who
had all these allegations against him.
Yes.
And so I like look back on it, and now we're like, what world were we in where we thought like, oh, if the Republicans will call us out on something if we don't do it exactly the right way, we'll be hypocrites. But so there was this fear, right, that if we didn't like call out Al Franken, then it would make it harder for us to make the case against Roy Moore in Alabama. Right. Looking back on it, I don't know if that's true.
No, this definitely wasn't true because they don't play a fair game. They never do.
Yeah, and so like, but I think at the time it was like, it was this moment of like we were figuring out. Like there were all these men who were being exposed because of Me Too that had gotten away with such heinous shit for so long. And I think we were figuring out what accountability looked like and where we were supposed to draw hard lines and where we weren't. And I just like, was the Senate a better place because Al Franken wasn't in it? Of course not. Of course not. Of course not. And so... like the other part of it though is Al Franken didn't get run out of town. He resigned, right? And he talks about this in either, I think he wrote a book about it or he talked about it in interviews, but that he was so hurt by the fact that so many of his colleagues had called on him to resign that he decided to step aside.
Yeah.
But it also felt like, wait, if there was going to be I think by that point Schumer had called for there to be some sort of a process. Some people like Gillibrand and others had called for him to resign. Maybe that wasn't the right thing to do, but Al Franken could have stayed and fought and maybe made it through. I think he probably would have.
You think so? I feel like all the Dems are going to, because of the Roy Moore thing, all the Dems are going to be like, guys, we have to signal that we're better than them, that we don't take this, that we don't fuck around with this. We got to get them out. But who knows? Who's
I don't know.
The purity tests are just driving me crazy.
It's hard, right? Like we're supposed to be like we have to fight with one hand tied behind our back because like we believe in rules and we believe in treating people well and we actually like want the government to work, and that makes our job harder. It's harder, but it's good that it's harder. It's supposed to be for us. Like
true,
it's hard. It's hard, but no. Look, I think that was a kind of like a crazy moment, and. I wonder what would have happened if he had not resigned. That doesn't mean it was right for people to call on him to resign without waiting for more information.
Yeah. Okay, so you are now writing jokes for Obama, and apparently, was it tied into like a contest that you got the Obama thingy? Which sounds kind of crazy to me. Like, come on down.
It wasn't like you like. It wasn't like Monopoly at McDonald's.
Oh my
It
God.
wasn't like I had gotten Park Place.
Remember that scandal? Someone sued McDonald's. It was
rigged.
rigged the
It was
entire
fucking
time.
rigged.
I know. And Gen Zers, y'all will never know about guy buying a super gulp, whatever. So you get those two little stickers to put on your little map.
The best.
Yeah.
The best. What a time. But so, like I had been a speechwriter for Hillary. Hillary loses, Obama wins. Then he wins the White House, and they're going to hire another speechwriter to come to the White House. And the way they did it was, and this is Jon Favreau, who's now one of my best friends, and we have Crooked Media together and Pod Save America together. But at the time, he was looking to hire one more speechwriter. And so the way they did it was they basically put a call out, and they said, anybody who's been a speechwriter or journalist who wants to apply, submit your resume, submit some samples, but everyone's going to do this blind speech test. So basically, you had 5 days. It was basically like a college exam. You know, you were given a location, a topic, a set of stories, and a set of policies, and you had to write a speech.
Got it. So
And
you're like UCLA about domestic violence.
Yeah, it was a speech in Iowa about green energy.
Got it.
That's what it was about. And
which you are famously against green energy.
And I hate it. But that's not the job of the speechwriter. I can fake it to get the job.
Got it.
But so anyway, I ended up writing it on like a megabus from DC to New York and submitted, and then they pulled mine out and a couple other people, and obviously I'm a great interview and off to the races.
Dope. So when you think of for some of the White House correspondence dinners that Obama did, the one where he fucking killed, like the process for writing. So I mean, because that's when y'all are basically just roasting the entire reporting. What you call that? Not the reporting.
The press corps.
The press thing.
Yeah, the White House press corps.
Is it like an SNL pitch meeting? Are you all sitting there like, I think this one for this one? What is that process like?
So the way it would work is, and this is for the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which is this annual roast in DC. And so what we would do is we would meet and talk about what we wanted to do. We'd think about basically there were kind of a few different sections of the speech. There's a section of the speech where he would make fun of himself.
Yeah.
A section of the speech where he would make fun of Republicans, a section of speech where he would make fun of Democrats in the media, and then a section of speech where you would do the theme of the year, whatever, the broader story you're trying to tell. And so we would mostly brainstorm on that to think about well, what's our goal here? What's our structure? What's our after we get through the roast jokes of everybody in the room, where are we going to land? And we think about a bunch of different directions for that. And then we would really cast a wide net. A bunch of speechwriters would write jokes. We also had a bunch of friends that were in comedy that would write jokes.
Okay.
And we would just collect hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of jokes and just go through them and edit them and refine them. Eventually, you'd make a speech that was probably 2 or 3 or 4 times as long as the final speech, and you'd show that to President Obama, and he would go through and check off the ones he liked and the ones he didn't like.
Got it.
Which I think is not that different from what a monologue process would be for a late night host.
Yeah.
There was one time where I was at the White House and we were about to go in to talk to President Obama about the Correspondents' Dinner speech, and it was the day before, and Judd Apatow, alum of my high school, happened to be there getting a tour and
of the White House.
And I had met him at some event years earlier, and he said, "Oh, you guys are going in to pitch jokes. I would love to pitch jokes." And I had such social anxiety, and I was like,
Apatow, you are this is my time.
But
stand down.
But what I really felt was oh, what's the right thing to do, right? He's a huge, famous, successful, great comedy person.
Yeah.
I have to have this meeting. I can't add people to this meeting with the president.
You just rolling with Judd Apatow.
I can't bring Judd Apatow. And so I kind of panicked and I said, "Okay, thank you," and then just moved on. and then a year later, he was talking to I think Fallon or Kimmel, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this guy Jon Lovett cock-blocked me at the White House for meeting Obama," and it's I didn't mean to do that.
Word.
I just am on the spectrum. I don't. It's amazing I got this far at all. But so years later, the next year, Apatow when we were working on the jokes about Trump specifically, I remember getting on the phone with Apatow, and a lot of that came from that conversation. He had so many great ideas about how to roast Trump, and boy, we roasted him good, and we never heard from him again. But that was it. You had amazing people submitting jokes. I wrote a bunch of jokes. Actually, one thing, and John was great at figuring out the right direction, and he would write jokes and have the great sense of like what the tone of it should be, like what like you, because I think the you want to strike the exact right balance where you're self-deprecating and kind of like generous in a way that's sort of like while also being pretty hard on the people in the room in the way that you don't normally get to be.
Yeah.
And I remember always felt like the perfect version, like David Axelrod, who was Barack Obama's longtime advisor, he would write these very sweet, avuncular, almost dad jokes. And then like my platonic ideal of a joke in front of that room is Barack Obama throwing the podium over and just saying, fuck you. Like the closer you get to
that's where I would be too.
The closer you could get to just saying fuck you. And like I would write something and everybody like, that's just a mean comment. You're just insulting people. It's like, yes. But the right balance was somewhere in between, right? Where you would have some of those kind of uncle type jokes, and then we would have some of the harsher, mean jokes. Barack Obama would go after himself pretty hard, which gave him permission to go after the other people in the room pretty hard. And that was sort of our formula that worked really well.
I can't even imagine what the next correspondence dinner going to be in this new. It's going to be horrible. It's going to be unbearable. It's going to be fucking just. I'm like mad thinking about it.
Yeah, like it came back to some version of normal with Biden.
Yeah.
But now it's like, do the reporters feel conflicted, right? Because like, here's a guy that's actively attacking the press and kicking journalists out of the White House.
Yeah. For a joke, he's probably going to be, if you come to that correspondence dinner, you say a joke he isn't like, you're probably going to be banned for life, never look back into the press room again.
Well, he never went. He didn't go for the 4 years. Or did he go the first year and then
he went
never
the first
again?
and the last 3, he didn't go.
He just refused to go. He doesn't like being insulted. He can't take it. The guy cannot take a joke.
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
Yeah, I don't know what'll happen.
Yeah. And then I think about, what's her name? Michelle Wolf?
Oh yeah, Michelle Wolf.
Her, of course. Is my type of comedy. I was living.
She went hard. She's so funny.
Went in. She went in.
So funny.
Honestly, bring back roast. I want to see some more roast. Comedy Central, they have not done one in such a long time. Bring those back. I love.
You know when it was though, like I remember when they first started being on television, they were like the Friars Club roast.
Yes,
and it was like the original. Like when I was a kid, they would air these commercials where you could order online VCR tapes of the old like Dean Martin roasts from like the 50s and 60s with like Don Rickles and all those people, like Alan King. And the first ones that they aired, they were old fashioned in that it was like, oh, you felt like you were getting let into something. And you were seeing like these people that knew each other insulting each other. And it felt like it made me like, I don't know, like it was part of what like made me feel like I wanted to be part of comedy in some way. It was like, look at this, like this collection of funny people, they're all friends, they're having such a good time giving each other shit. Like it felt like being let into a world. And then once they started being on Comedy Central, they just got bigger and bigger, and it's like now Martha Stewart is roasting Snoop Dogg. Like what's happening? Like, what is this? You know? And I like it. It's funny. Martha Stewart was fucking hilarious when she did. Who is it? Justin Bieber?
Justin Bieber,
it's like Martha Stewart's roasting Justin Bieber. Like, what kind of. These people don't know each other. like I love Nikki Glaser, but like Nikki Glaser, like ripping the shit out of Tom Brady. It's like now it's just a TV. Now it's just an award show.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah.
But I liked it when it felt more like, I don't know, like old school. Like you're just like, the cameras are on in a ballroom somewhere.
Yeah. I agree. You mentioned meeting Jon Favreau and when you worked for Obama, which I famously told everyone that you and Jon Favreau were. I don't know where I.
Wait, no, finish that. What did you say?
That you and Jon Favreau were dating. That y'all were a couple, and because in my mind that's what I had seen in the media. You and Jon Favreau were together.
Listen, not for a lack of trying.
He's so beautiful.
He's a very handsome man, but no, no, we're not. We're just different people. We're just friends. Just non-sexual friends.
I said it on my podcast. I said it on television interviews. I was like, it's just so beautiful how John and they have the same name. It's so cute. People
sure. Yeah.
Oh, God.
No, we're work colleagues who became friends.
God, we became friends. And y'all have, which so I still listen to weekly, Positive America, which is just such an important podcast. You guys, because I like that, you guys are nonpartisan for the most part. You guys are just talking about the news. Obviously, you guys are liberal, but I think that you guys, just as much as you guys are taking the Republicans to task, y'all are saying like, liberals also, we got to get our shit together. We fucked up this past election. We forgot about a big part of the country.
Yeah, and it's so funny because we get attacked from the right for being like tools of the Democrats. Then we get attacked from the left for being tools of the Democrats. And then we get attacked by Democrats for being bad allies, And like, that's fine. But like, our view of it is like, we're independent. And we want to have Democrats on because we believe that we need to help Democrats figure out how to defeat this radical version of republicanism that's incredibly dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
But like, when we think Democrats are wrong, we're going to say so. Like we're not, and we're really are an independent media company. And like our view of all of it is like, what is the answer to this like rising authoritarian movement on the right?
Yeah.
And for us, like the answer has to be a big, diverse, democratic movement that brings in everybody that believes in like a core set of values, like that believes in tolerance and compassion and following the law and freedom and has respect for difference, right? Like, but that can include so many kinds of people. Like we have to bring in so many kinds of people. And that requires having allies that you don't always agree with, right?
Yeah.
That'll include everybody, by the way, from like people all the way on the left, all the way to like former Republicans who hate Trump but believe in democracy, who are part of this coalition too. And to build a big coalition, that means you have to be open and curious and willing to listen and willing to disagree and being okay with disagree. Like you talked about the purity test, like that has gotten us nowhere. That has gotten nowhere. And like, and sometimes what it feels like, and I think sometimes this is just overreacting to stuff online, but sometimes what it feels like is that like that the reaction to the fact that there is so much hate and bigotry and noise and lies and bullshit on the right and on the internet generally, that some people react to it and say like, I need to build a perfect little cathedral, like a safe place for me, right? Where everything is correct and everything is safe. Like I need my little home. But the problem with that is like, okay, you've built it. There's nobody in it. You need to like, there needs to be, people need to come in and come out. You need to be welcoming and we need to be fun and we can't be scolding and we can't be sour. Like we got to be a big, rebellious, boisterous, joyful movement that's comfortable with dissent, comfortable with disagreement, comfortable with people we don't agree with all the time. Like that's what we have to do. And like, that's the kind of media we think we need. And so that's like the kind of stuff we're trying to make.
That you guys foster over there. But I think that maybe a big problem for the Dems and the liberals is that we're trying to cater to so many things and try to like house a lot of it. And like, I think that because the right, they are just going on one thing. They're only operating off of hate. We hate all of this stuff, and we're worried about, you know, distancing ourselves from it, whereas the left is trying to corral everyone and like, guys, and I think that's why it's so hard for us to do it, because we're trying to get everyone together under we have this one umbrella, we're trying to get everyone under it, not everyone can fit.
Yeah, that's part of it. It's also just like, we just have a harder job. Like it is harder to build a house than to burn one down.
Yeah.
And
well, that's a great,
and you know, like you know, so that is the trouble with believing in working with people, believing in the importance of like institutions. Like you don't want to be defending institutions that have hurt people or that people are angry about. But like, yeah, we believe government can help people. Yeah. We're not going to apologize for that. Like, yeah, like we believe you need Medicaid. And yeah, you need USAID. Yeah. And you need these institutions because the world is a big, messy, complicated place. And like some people need help. And will government be perfect? No. Will it move slow? Yes. But it moves slow because it's responding to all of us. And like it's not meant to run like a corporation.
But that's what people want, because they think money, they think dollars. Oh, someone who can run a corporation, they can run the country, and it's not the same thing. When was the last time you needed to go to a doctor? Yeah, I'm talking to you. And you know, you put it off. You're like, no, it'll heal on its own, girl. Ooh, I don't know what doctor to go to. You know what? It'll be fine. My femur's just hanging out of my elbow. It'll be fine. I know your femur's not by your elbow, but that's what y'all be saying. Well, listen, that's where ZocDoc comes in. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. I've been using ZocDoc for a long time, y'all. This is not, yes, they are a sponsor, but this is not like fake news, all right? ZocDoc is so fast. You can just literally open your app and find any doctor, a dermatologist, a proctologist, and on-call, whatever you need there on ZocDoc app. And the shady thing that I love is that you can review your doctors on there. The review comment section on ZocDoc is top tier. People be getting these doctors together who have bad bedside manner or who kept you waiting too long. So you can go on there and you and I can review these doctors so that the next person knows what the tea is. It's really fierce. I love ZocDoc. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/Monet to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/Monet. ZocDoc.com/Monet.
Well, you know what though? This is the problem, right? Because and look, we have to, I don't think this is the most helpful thing to say all the time politically. You have to figure out the smartest argument to reach most people. But if there's a company out there and they make, I don't know, a widget of some kind, and somebody comes in there and says you're making this widget wrong, too expensive. We can make this widget cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
And they stop making widgets for a while. It's okay. But you can't do that with Medicaid.
Yeah. You
can't, people need this stuff right now. As we're recording this, there are shipping containers filled with food that is rotting. Because Elon Musk has decided not to deliver it to people that need it. It's not going to save anybody any money. It's not going to do anything to help anybody. It's just going to go bad. It's aid that people were expecting, that people rely on. And it's okay, you think you make an omelet, you're going to break a few eggs. Fuck you.
Yeah.
How about that? How about not your eggs to break?
Yeah.
And these are real people's lives you're playing with. It's not a game. You're treating it like a game. It's not a game.
Yeah. And I think that people, when you have that much money, you're so out of touch with what honestly sometimes what basic human needs are. I think you're so these billionaires and trillionaires and whatever, they're so out of, well, there's no trillionaires, but
not yet.
I know he's gonna be the first one.
That's what he wants.
That they're so out of touch with what basic human needs are. It honestly feels like a kid with a magnifying glass in the yard with ants. I'm well, whatever, it's gonna kill a few ants. There are 10 million of them, who cares, Yeah. That's what it feels like. Who do you think, with your professional lens and and all your politics, who do you think is the next rising star of the Democrats? Who is going to be our next Obama?
I have to tell you, I just don't know.
Right?
I really don't know. And part of it is that part of what's hard right now is that you look at all these people that could potentially be the person that runs in 2028. And if they were around in 2024 and 2022, they decided not to challenge Joe Biden. And I understand why people didn't do that. But we ended up in this situation where Joe Biden, the country was saying he was too old. He was facing the same anti-incumbent mood that was around the world. There's a lot of anger at him about what was happening in Gaza. He was completely unable to make an argument anymore. He had become so unable to communicate. And none of these people challenged him.
Yeah.
Right? And so Democrats have two giant problems. One is we don't know how to reach people, right? The voters that consumed a lot of news in this election, they actually voted for Kamala Harris. It's the less information you're consuming about politics, the more likely you were to vote for Donald Trump. So people that are seeing the New York Times, people that are just seeing Kamala Harris doing interviews, people that are seeing the news and consuming it, we've got them. And so there are just millions upon millions of people we're not reaching at all.
Yeah.
But then, okay, let's say we figure that out. Let's say we crack this impossible situation of the news being devoured by social media. What Democrats have credibility with people, right? There's Democrats spent years correctly saying Donald Trump did an insurrection and you can't trust him with our government. He doesn't care about you. He's only going to care about himself. And he claims he's going to bring down costs, but he's really just going to do terrible tariffs and destroy the government. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
Right? People didn't believe us. Right? That. And then, you see all this. And then Republicans run ads that say Kamala Harris is for they, them, and Donald Trump is for you. And then you see all these Democrats and all these strategists saying well, do we need to moderate on trans issues? We need to figure out how to talk about these in a new way. Well, imagine if there were Democrats out there that had enough credibility with people on the economy, that had enough trust with people built up over time about their values, what they stand for, right? that when they said, actually, you know, I know you're not yet understanding what you think Democrats are maybe wrong on these trans issues, but I'm going to tell you why I think we got to fight for trans kids, right? There'd be Democrats out there that have enough trust with people built up over time that they wouldn't be so afraid of their shadows when they're accused of being something they're not from the right. And like, you look at like, who are the Democrats out there that have that? Like AOC, Bernie Sanders. But by the way, like, like that then starts to say like, oh, we need somebody from the left. Like maybe, but like if you look at the last few big political figures that have succeeded, right? I include Bernie in this, I include AOC in this, but really it's like it's Barack Obama also, it's Bill Clinton, right? They all, and by the way, Donald Trump, they all in their own way like ran against the establishment, right? Like Barack Obama ran against the Democratic establishment represented by Hillary Clinton. Bill Clinton ran against an old school kind of Democrat from the center, right? Bernie Sanders ran against the establishment from the left. Like what they have in common is they had a clear, understandable critique of the government, the critique of the status quo. And because their ideology was clear, because of their vision was clear, they were able to handle questions about everything, right? And maybe you didn't always agree with them, but you kind of understood their core. You understood what they stood for, like in their bones. Like people understood Barack Obama. And by the way, his what was interesting about Barack Obama for years is right, like his approval rating would go up and down as a president, but his personal approval rating, like what is your opinion of him, was pretty rock solid. Right. And like you look at someone like Bernie Sanders, right? Like everybody knows what he like. This is why Joe Rogan liked him. Everybody you know, you may not agree. Plenty of people that think he's too far left, like outside of like where he is kind of beloved on the internet. But like, you know what he's for. You know who he is, right? And that gives people space, right? Like Donald Trump. You know, you talked about how the Republican Party like runs on hate, sure. But look at Donald Trump, right? Like, because he is so clear with his base on immigration, right? He's so clear with his base on tariffs. He can put Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a person who is a pro-choice environmental lawyer and Democrat up until like a day ago, as Secretary of Health and Human Services. Imagine if Kamala Harris made Mike Pence in charge of Health and Human Services. Basically,
the Democrats would
correctly be like, we don't understand this. This doesn't make sense. We don't trust you. How could you? This is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. Right? Like, look, I don't think the goal is to figure out how to get Mike Pence to be, but it just tells you something about like Donald Trump has all this space to operate because he's built up this trust with his base. And like, it's going to take time. Like, who's the rising star? I don't know. I don't think they exist right now because they're not going to emerge from a fucking cocoon. They're going to spend years working and thinking.
But we don't have years.
Well, we have a couple years. We have a couple years.
I mean, really, realistically, 2.
All right, fine.
By 26, we need to know.
That's years. But they got to get out there.
Yeah, now. I mean, Jasmine Crockett. We know what Jasmine Crockett stands for.
Love Jasmine Crockett.
You know? But
there's a rising star.
Yeah, she's a rising star for sure. I have to talk to you about one of my favorite television shows.
Talk to me.
Huge fan of Survivor.
Oh, yeah.
And John, when I saw you on the cast, I'm like, John's about to eat these bitches up. He about to let, but okay, because I've watched every season of Survivor from season 13 on to current. And like everything about y'all is like, oh, John's gonna eat it up. But you sometimes at the beginning, it's just people just throwing. It's just so arbitrary how to choose.
Yes, I mean, look, I have to own. Look, I went home first. That is the worst case scenario. When I interviewed with Jeff, I said to him, I was like, Jeff, my personality is such that I will either make it all the way through this game or I will be first home. And there's no in between. I really did. I told him that. I said, I'm first out or I'm going all the way. And like, I look back and there are definitely places I could have maneuvered and tried something had I known where it was heading. But you, of course, don't know that in the moment.
You don't know,
And like, as far as like, I really, if you saw, you know, like there'd never been somebody having like a full-blown panic attack and then throwing an out. It was an unprecedented moment. I've thought about so many different aspects of it, but here's the one thing I didn't think about going into it, which is like, I'm very competitive. I knew once I was in it, I would really want to compete. But here, the thing that I didn't realize is like, oh, like I'm not going to have the ability to like give up my dignity. Right. And like, I respect, are you watching? Of course you're watching Traitors.
Yeah, I'm watching Traitors.
And people are always like, I respect so much. I'm not going to spoil it for people that are catching up, but I respect so much when someone looks in the eyes of someone they've known from outside the show and said, I swear to you,
I'm not a traitor.
I'm not a traitor. And they are.
It's harrowing, honestly.
It's harrowing, but I respect it because like inside of these games, like as long as you're not hurting anybody, go wild. Right? Yeah. But like, I realized in that moment, like I don't have the ability to like Andy had a bad moment and then turned it into his route to staying in the game. Totally respect that. But like, I just didn't have the ability to beg, you know, I didn't have it. I'm like, maybe that means I didn't want it enough, which maybe it meant I shouldn't have been there. But like in that moment, like there were so like, I just, with the cameras, like with the camera right there, it was so hard to like actually turn to somebody and like really kind of lower myself to try to step. And maybe it wouldn't have mattered anyway, but I just didn't have it in me.
To do that.
Didn't have it in me. And it didn't occur to me until I was there that like, oh, like like I can want it as much as some of these other people, but that doesn't mean there are that I have the same space to move.
Yeah, you know? I feel that. I feel that. I mean, Andy went on. Can I tell you?
He went on a great run.
I was shocked he got past the third, fourth episode. I was genuinely shocked.
But like he had that collapse early on was like such an amazing like you basically say like you don't have to worry about me anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, pretty much.
And like, you know, that's a way to go far now.
Yeah, it is. Would you do a Traders?
Yeah.
Right?
It's so fun. Of course, I love that. I love
game shows.
I love game shows. I love competitive reality shows. Like I love Traders. I love Survivor. I used to watch Big Brother all the time. Like not Big Brother, Amazing Race all the time.
Race.
And like yeah, of course. Traders is Survivor with food.
and not sleeping on rocks.
Yeah.
And can I tell you that I've wanted to Survivor, but the part I don't think I could ever get behind is seeing y'all there and those rats are running across you. And after finding out, I was like, I'm gonna find out from someone in production. There's no way they're actually. And I was like, they are.
Babe,
I don't know.
Here's the thing. Look, here's the thing. If I can do it,
no.
Here's the thing.
I don't even camp. I won't sleep on the floor in my backyard.
I will show you after we finish recording the email I sent to the Parker Palm Springs about some of the ways in which I was dissatisfied with the accommodations. If I could do it, you could do it. I like nice things. I can handle anything. And I think you could too.
I don't think so.
Come on. You know what? What? For same thing, you're a drag queen. And I feel like you could do it.
I would be there because I would also Jeff, for every challenge I had to get in drag, I would be there with some fucking nuts and berries, making lipstick and blush, just like putting some palm prawns as a wig and doing the challenges.
The thing about though is that like, look, I was there for a very brief time, but in my brief experience, the hard part, like the survival part, the like sleeping outside, who cares? You're dirty. It's an experience. The social part, the game itself, that's the hard part.
Yeah.
The other stuff fades away.
I would love. If you did Traders, would you want to be a traitor or a faithful?
Oh, traitor.
It's hard for traders to win the game though. The easiest way to win the game is to be a faithful who gets turned into a traitor.
Right.
That's the path to victory.
I think, right, but to me, it's like, but is it the path of fun?
Just
being a traitor seems like so much fucking fun.
It does.
So
it really
fun.
does. Are you a Blood on the Clock Tower player? You never played Blood on the Clock Tower?
Blood on the Clock Tower? What's that?
It's kind of like Mafia.
I played Mafia.
It's more involved. Like they're about between 17. You can play between 12 and 18 people, and like they're like all these roles. Like there are a bunch of blue characters. About 12. If you played 18, there are 12 blue characters. 4 red characters, which are the bad ones, and 1 demon. And you're trying to kill the demon, but every person has a power. Like your power as a good person might be, you get to know every night if one of the people next to you is evil or good, something like that. Like stuff like that. It's a really interesting game.
Let's do a Mafia night.
I would love to do a Mafia night.
Let's do it.
We do games all the time at the house.
I'm in.
I would love. We got to exchange contacts.
Okay.
And you had me on Love It or Leave It. Love It or Leave It has been going on for how many? 6 years now?
Since 2017.
2017.
So how long is that? Almost 8 years. We're in our 8th year.
8 years.
Wow.
So, and when I went on there, I was a guest on there, and you had that woman who was the Kamala Harris impersonator.
Oh yeah, Allison Reese.
Allison, y'all.
So fucking funny.
Her Kamala is so fucking good. I had such a good time doing your show.
Yeah, you were great.
It was such
It
a
was so
good
fun.
time. It was such a good time.
blast.
Yeah. Would you, I think you should have me and Bob on there together.
Great, done. Bob, it was because you talked about it after because Bob came on, but Bob had absolutely no fucking idea what the show was. No idea what the show was. And for the segment we did with Bob is we brought up groups of people and one of them was gay. And he had to pick them out.
Oh my God.
It was, yeah. He did great.
I don't know people, this was something I found out when doing research for the show. I didn't realize that you performed the first gay marriage at the White House.
Yeah, I did.
But in sequence, because no shade, but Miss Obama hadn't come out about, endorsing gay marriage yet. So was it done like Schrader style in the tour?
Yes.
Really?
So what happened was, we were in, like, when I started working in politics, Democrats were for civil unions and that would get applause. But they weren't for marriage because marriage was between one man and one woman. It's a sacred institution.
Yeah, one band, one sound.
And so, I was going to be the officiant for my two friends, Justin and Steve, but they were getting married in West Virginia, which hadn't legalized marriage equality yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so they asked if I would, and so they were going to get married officially, legally in DC, which did have it. And then we were going to do the ceremony. And I said, well, why don't I become a licensed minister? It's not that hard. So I filled out all the paperwork and I became a registered officiant with the District of Columbia. And then we had this we realized, like, I'm allowed to give White House tours. And so I signed Justin and Steve up for a tour and I walked them through we looked at the Oval Office and the various fancy rooms. And then we went into the Rose Garden and I performed the ceremony. Yeah. We walked into the little area and I said, do you Justin, et cetera? Do you Steve, et cetera? I now pronounce you husbands.
Oh, dope.
They did a little kind of acceptable kiss, a work appropriate kiss,
a demure kiss,
and so I pronounced them husbands, and then we went and signed the paperwork, and we filed it. I mean, like, I think I don't know if it's public or not, but we filed the paperwork with the District of Columbia, and you have to write all the information when, but you have to write where, and so I wrote 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Dope.
So yeah, that was the first.
But don't you have to have witnesses?
Shut up. No, we did it.
Good. I mean, because gay marriage got legal in 2013. No, 2008.
2013.
Well,
must have been 2013.
Yeah, because he got in office 2008. Yeah. Right. And then so being there for all that time, were you like y'all have, like, I don't know, your writing meetings? You're like, hey, gay marriage.
It's funny. Like, it's really not your job, and, like, obviously it's personal because I believe in gay marriage and gay, et cetera. But like, when you're a speechwriter, your job is to figure out how to write the speech that this other person would give, right? Mm-hmm. And, like, you'll put your spin on it and you'll push and you'll try to make it, it'll kind of, you have, like, flexibility to tell the story in the way that you think you should within, you have a lot of creative leeway, but, like, you're not a policymaker.
Yeah.
And really, like, the way I always thought about it was that, like, Barack Obama, if he had all the time in the world, could do every one of these speeches himself, but he doesn't have time. So my job is to do the legwork for him to give the speech he would have given if he wrote it himself. Mm-hmm. And so, like, you're not, you have to, there's a lot of things you have to be. You don't have to be excellent at all of them. You have to be good at all of them, but, like, you have to be a good writer. You have to have a good sense of politics. You have to be good at working with a bunch of different people who have different points of view. And you have to be good at understanding someone else's point of view, right? Like, that's your job. And so you kind of do all these, but, like, at your best, you're not sitting at the computer thinking, like, what do I agree with and what do I disagree with? You're thinking, like, you're trying to figure out how to channel this other person. And so, like, I remember, like, when there was during a previous debate about gay marriage, like, that's when I came out to Hillary Clinton. I remember walking into her office and being like, I just want you to know, like, we're working on these speeches. I just want you to know that I'm gay.
Really?
Right? Yeah.
And what was her reaction?
Oh, Jonathan, I knew months ago. Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
So I wanted to make sure I was like, look, I'm working on these speeches, but I want you to know that you're a gay person's working on them.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like, you don't always agree with every call, and it's personal in this case, but you generally believe in the project of what Barack Obama is trying to achieve and trying to, like, not just do things right now for the country, but make sure he can win re-election at a time when gay marriage still wasn't a popular issue. It just wasn't.
Yeah, and now it's becoming a popular issue again.
Now people love it.
In my mind, you like write a whole speech and like you just like put some gay language in. He's like 407 years ago, men could marry men. He's like, what the fuck? You just read your prompter.
Too late.
You're like, you said it. You got. Jon, thank you so much for being here on the show today. I really appreciate it.
This was fun.
This was so fun. You dropped so much knowledge here and be able to talk to you about the stuff that you're so
Was it too
versed
serious?
No.
Was it too much?
No, girl, nothing is too much or too serious with me.
Okay.
Ever. And we had to do game night.
We're going to do game night.
You said it on camera.
That's why. I was trapping you.
If it don't happen, I'm going to say, here's this clip of Jon inviting me to play Mafia that never happened.
To be clear, what happened is I said, oh, we should do a game night together. And you say, I have them all the time. I was like, okay, so I didn't say like invite me to your thing. I said, let's do something.
Okay.
But maybe
fair.
you can invite me to your thing.
Fair. Both will happen.
Both.
Y'all, big shout out to Jon for being here. Love It or Leave It happens every
Thursdays we record in Los Angeles, usually at Dynasty Typewriter, but go to crooked.com/events. Come to the live show.
It's such a good time, y'all.
It's so much fun.
Such a good time. Jon is fucking hilarious. And thank you all for swinging by the show. Please join me next week. We have another fabulous guest. Almost as fabulous as Jon. Almost. See you next time. Mwah.
Monét Talks.